Welcome back, everyone, to the Mayhem Original Podcast. I am your host, JD. My co-host for this episode and executive producer of all of my podcasts is Mizpah. And, of course, The Breeze is backstage. She'll be fact-checking us in between naps. So, we're going to be talking about some of the NFL offseason moves.
The good, the bad, the ugly, and the just plain stupid.
And maybe even the corrupt.
Yeah, there's that too.
So, as I hinted on the previous episode, I got a little inside information on the maybe Brady not being a real retirement. We'll get to that in a few minutes. So there's been a couple of moves, teams making moves this offseason.
Yeah, there's been a lot of moves this offseason.
A lot of moves. I don't want to say more so than any other year, but there's been some big moves this year. There's been some big moves. Of those, let's just start at the top here. Von Miller is going to the Bills from the Rams.
And he's getting paid an obscene amount of money to do so.
Yeah, $120 million over 6 years, with a weird number being guaranteed. $51.345 million guaranteed. That's for a linebacker. That's a big contract. This is his payout here.
That's a huge number for that position.
Yeah,
I think that puts him at the top actually.
For linebackers, maybe, I don't know. Is the Breeze awake? Can you tell us who the highest paid linebacker is?
Yep.
Breeze.
It may not have that stat yet, but we'll find out.
In terms of probably not. Yeah, no, he definitely doesn't have the highest one. We'll get to that in a few minutes. Which we do have the largest NFL we are going to be talking about the largest NFL contract in all of NFL history here in just a minute. The Cowboys are just. What are they doing? Taking a crap?
This was painful. So
taking a crap
for the Cowboys to trade Amari Cooper. Now, yeah, I get Amari wasn't happy where he was at. He made it known he wanted to be traded.
I wouldn't be happy there either.
So the Cowboys traded him to the Browns. And in return for Cooper, they got a 5th and a 6th round draft pick. What?
Yeah, and hold on one second, Bree. And they also traded one of their own 6th round picks so that the Browns would pick up the rest of Cooper's contract.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's... I don't know how that
for
was.
Cooper.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have easily gotten a much higher draft pick for Cooper. But then again...
Well, maybe not. I mean,
with the news that was out there, with him wanting to be traded, they showed their cards a little early, so it devalued him significantly.
Yeah.
But a 5th and a 6th round draft pick? Did it really drop him that low? And if it did, why?
Yeah, that's interesting that it was. I mean, you would think at least, at the very least, a 2nd or 3rd rounder. Bree, who's the highest paid linebacker?
So in 2021, the highest paid linebacker was Darius Leonard with the Colts, making $19.7 million.
Just for that year?
I'm guessing so, but this was a rank for 2021 of highest to, I guess, lowest paid linebackers.
So I think then Von Miller's guaranteed might be the highest guaranteed for a linebacker.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll look more into that one for a future episode. But yeah, the Breeze just said that the highest paid linebacker for 2021 was what was his name? His name doesn't matter. He played for the Colts and he made a little over $19 million for that year. But that was just for an individual year. We don't know what his whole contract was.
Darius Leonard.
Darius Leonard was his name. In case you do want to know. I mean, it's important to have the right information. So, but the Cowboys, what are they doing? And what are they doing? I mean, what are they doing?
I have no idea. They're doing Jones things. Like that's what they're doing. Jones.
Yeah,
things.
Losing Amari Cooper that's not good. And also, I mean, what are they doing with their run game? I mean, everything about the Cowboys. They got a team that they should be competing at least for the championship, through the NFC Championship every year. But they're doing poo.
I mean, I get that they were having some salary cap issues, but
But that's what I'm saying. But you got all these players. Why are you not? Why?
I don't have an answer for that.
Bad play calling. Like I've said before on other episodes, Zeke should be carrying the ball 30 times a game, and with now that you guys got Pollard, he should be carrying the ball 20 times a game. Guys should be having 50 runs a game, and Dak Prescott should barely be throwing the ball.
I think it's still a situation of the front office is too involved.
You mean Jerry Jones is too involved?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, he probably is pushed. Yeah, he wants the high passing offense, the exciting offense. I'm sure that's why he wants Dak Prescott. But listen, when you got Zeke and Pollard and what they can do with the offensive line that you built, you don't have to do that. There's no reason to. Hand the ball to Zeke 2 times in a row, then hand the ball to Pollard once, and just keep doing that every 3 downs. You know what I mean? There's no reason to do anything else when you got backs like that and an offensive line like they have. There's just no reason to do anything different. Let's go into our first controversial issue of this episode. The Browns, and they're picking up Deshaun Watson, which of course means Baker Mayfield wants to be traded. The Browns have not said or decided or made any moves about getting rid of him. So at this time, he's still with the team, but he does want to be traded. And Deshaun Watson from the Texans, he's got some. This is weird. This is weird. He has the largest contract, the largest guaranteed money contract of any contract in the history of the NFL, $230 million over 5 years. It's fully guaranteed. $230 million over 5 years.
That's
what? And
talk about stupid money.
To top that off, he's got this cloud around him with these massage therapist issues. 18 massage therapists have come forward and accused him of inappropriate sexual behavior.
That's a whole lot of baggage.
It gets worse. Now, oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't 18. I'm sorry. It's 22. 22 massage therapists came forward and accused him, and then 18 massage therapists came out and sort of to his defense, saying that they didn't have inappropriate. There was no inappropriate conduct with them. Okay, now, this is where the bad part comes into play, okay? Because of the allegations, and it's kind of a her, I mean, even though there's a lot of hers against him, It is a her word against his word. But the problem is that the judge has now said that these 18 women who came out in defense for him have to testify on his behavior during the massage. So, even if there was there consensual sex with any of these 18 women? Was there any consensual sexual contact at all with any of these 18 women who came to his defense? If there was, it lends credibility to the 22 who are accusing him. So,
absolutely.
By these 18 coming forward, it really messed things up for him, because now there's 18 more people who are going to give evidence and testimony to his behavior during these massages.
And I don't believe this is the first time he's had.
It's been a build-up. It's like coming to a head. The thing with Deshaun Watson is that he likes massages, and apparently he likes a manual release, or even more with his massages. Please don't let your kids watch this episode. We should have put that at the top. Everything. All our episodes are always marked. For mature audiences. But yeah, I mean, so he's got 40 massage therapists who are going to be testifying about his behavior during these massages.
I have a feeling with the amount of evidence that keeps mounting against him, this just isn't going to be a happy ending for him.
For him, the Browns.
Well, yeah, the Browns too.
The Browns are paying.
The Browns definitely are not going to get a happy ending in this deal.
$230 million guaranteed over 5 years. Now, you imagine that some of that's going to be voided if Deshaun Watson gets accused of against the player agreement.
Depends on whether it's in the contract or not.
It's in the players' agreements, the conduct is all the same.
Okay.
So if he violated that, then there's a chance maybe the Browns don't lose all their money. But why would you make a commitment as a franchise? As a franchise who's trying to, I would assume they've been trying to move forward. The acquisition of Baker Mayfield and some of the additions that they had prior to last year, they seem to be attempting to move in the right direction. They've had a little problem with their head coaches. It's always something in Cleveland. It's always been something in Cleveland, but they seem to be like they're not making the same. They weren't making the same mistakes. They were seeing a mistake and fixing it and attempting to move forward. Their record hasn't always shown that in the last few years, but. Yeah. Their play caliber. Baker Mayfield's been getting it done. They've gotten him some wide receivers. And now, what does this move?
So, my thought on that is you're not going to put up that kind of money unless you have information that leads credit to the fact that this is either going to be dismissed or he'll be found not guilty or there'll be some sort of settlement.
I mean,
something along those lines.
$230 million over 5 years. I would imagine
that gives him a good chunk of money.
If he wants to pay, yeah. I mean, I would imagine that's something he's going to be looking at as well.
Maybe that's why he got such a good deal.
Maybe, but it doesn't make any sense to me. It seems like a weird unilateral decision to replace Baker Mayfield with Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson's a fine quarterback. He's mobile, sure, but. Is he worth that much money? I don't know about that.
And I thought Mayfield was doing pretty darn good.
Yeah, he's not doing bad, and that's why he wants to be traded. He doesn't want to be a backup to Deshaun Watson. He wants to be a starter. I think Baker Mayfield, I think a team will pick him up. I don't know if he'll be a starter, but I do think a team will pick him up.
Apparently the Browns aren't getting rid of him right now.
At least not yet. Not yet. And then, of course, the Bengals, who just were in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, there is that.
And the Browns are not doing...
Who'd ever thought we'd be talking about the fact that the Bengals were in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
If you'd told me that a few years ago, I'd have laughed at you.
Yeah. Just ridiculous.
The Browns, again, they've had talent. They've had plenty of opportunity. They just can't seem to get out of their own way.
They can't get all the pieces together at the same time, it seems like. All right, before we get to some of the other controversial topic we're going to do, the Chiefs they get rid of Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins. The Dolphins are going to come up here in just a few minutes. Prepare yourself for that. But they do pick up Juju Smith-Schuster, so losing their what could arguably be the fastest guy in the NFL.
Yeah.
But I like Juju Smith-Schuster. He's also in my top 5 of coolest names in the NFL.
Oh, absolutely.
So, they lose Tyreek Hill, but pick up Juju Smith-Schuster, and he might be a better target for Patrick Mahomes than Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill's he's that deep long ball, deep threat. But Juju might be able to be more of a regular target for him. Someone he can throw to more consistently.
Yeah, that's true. I actually looked at that and was wondering why they would do that, but that makes sense to me. That they would look for somebody who's more...
And Tyreek Hill is also...
a mid-range target.
Yeah, and also Tyreek Hill is a big name guy. He's got a big contract, and Juju Smith-Schuster is a good wide receiver, but I don't believe that he's getting the contract Tyreek Hill was just getting. So they're probably saving themselves some money. Maybe they're going to plan to pick up 1 or 2 people in the draft. Yeah. Plus, they got Mecole Hardman. They got a couple young guys who they've been kind of bringing up over the last year or two who are getting better. So maybe they're just going to try and go with some young guys. The Colts and the Falcons, Matt Ryan to Indianapolis for a 3rd-round pick.
Yeah.
Which... Matt Ryan's reaching the end of his career. We've got
3rd round.
He's got 1 or 2 more years in him, maybe 3. Matt Ryan, you think?
Yeah, I think that was a fair trade.
So 3rd round pick, yeah, that makes sense.
Now let's talk about the Dolphins for a minute. Let's talk about making some moves.
All right. Well, the Dolphins. No, hold on. Let's come back to the Dolphins because then we can do the whole big transition to the whole big thing because the Dolphins are involved in this too, up to their eyeballs. The Broncos are getting Russell Wilson and a 4th round pick. This is ridiculous. For 2 first round picks 2 second-round picks, a 5th-round pick, quarterback Drew Lock, tight end Noah Fant,
Yeah.
and defensive tackle Shelby Harris. What?
That is a trade.
That's a video game trade. What? That's a video game trade, man. Russell Wilson and a 4th-round pick to Denver for
2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, a 5th-round pick, a quarterback, a tight end, and a defensive tackle.
5 picks, a quarterback, a tight end, and a defensive tackle for a quarterback and a 4th-round pick.
Yeah.
That's insane. The Broncos want Russell. I mean, the Broncos. I mean,
they needed to do something big.
Drew Lock's not the guy.
No.
Why did the Seahawks get rid of Russell Wilson? You think contract? You think they don't want? You think? I mean, they've had a couple of opportunities for Russell Wilson to get him all the way, and he hasn't done it.
Yeah, he hasn't really been performing to their expectations.
So maybe they're looking for a rebuild year. The Seahawks.
I think he was tired of being in the Seahawks, honestly.
So you think?
I think he may have been looking to get out.
You think the Seahawks are gonna Drew Lock it for a season before they?
Yeah, they'll use him for a year and use that year to get a chance to rebuild next year.
Yeah, I mean sometimes it does need to happen.
So
sometimes it does need to happen.
Take a year off, be really bad, get the good draft picks the following year.
Yeah. Yeah. The Raiders pick up Davante Adams from Green Bay, and this is the weird thing because here's another wide receiver Davante Adams from Green Bay to the Raiders for a 1st-round pick and a 2nd-round pick.
Yeah.
And what did the Cowboys trade Amari Cooper for? A 5th and a 6th-round pick. And the Cowboys also traded one of their own 6th-round picks, or pretty much traded their 6th-round pick back to them so that they would pick up the remainder of his Cooper's contract. So that's why someone like Mizpah here is so upset about Amari Cooper being traded for such a very low value when Davante Adams, and I don't know that Davante Adams,
as a team, you never want to trade down.
Even if Davante Adams is a better wide receiver than Amari Cooper, he's not a 1st and a 2nd rounder compared to a 5th and a 6th rounder, in which you're losing that 6th round back to pick up the contract. That much better.
No.
Is what I'm saying.
No.
Davante Adams is a good wide receiver, but he's not that much better than Amari Cooper.
I go back to my previous statement. You, as a team owner, you never want to trade down. And that's what they did for Cooper.
Yeah.
Like, they ended up, if I remember it, they used a 3rd round to get Cooper. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
But I know they traded down. Like, they got rid of Cooper for less than what they got Cooper for.
I think, they needed the salary. I mean, Zeke's coming up on his contract year.
Yeah. But
Dak,
still.
Dak, they just renegotiated Dak, so his salary is going to be increasing every year for the rest of his life.
So, pick up like a 3rd round and maybe even a 4th round.
Yeah, why couldn't you get something?
A 3rd
better?
round,
really?
And
I don't believe
like a 1st round the following year.
Yeah, I don't believe that there wasn't a team out there who wouldn't have given something more for that. Of course, we're not going to talk about the Eagles in this episode.
If we could stop there, I feel like that would have been enough. Like, that would have been an average season. Yeah, a lot of trades going on, a lot of mixing and jawing, and teams promising this and then backing out. Normal trade season, right?
Yeah.
If we ended there.
Yeah.
But we're not even to the best parts yet.
No, we're not. As I said, we're not talking about the Eagles because they haven't made any big trades. Also, right now, I hate them. I am an Eagles fan, but I'm not happy with the entire organization. So maybe in the next episode, maybe after the draft, we'll see what they do in the draft. Nick Sirianni, you terrible, terrible coach.
Maybe he becomes a Cowboys fan.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. I'm fine with being an Eagles critic. hey, I'm an Eagles fan, which automatically, by definition, makes me a critic. And the things that our organization has done in the last year, 2 years, is just in the last 5 years. Ever since we picked up Chip Kelly, what a great move that was.
Well, you guys picked up a bunch of veterans, got a Super Bowl, and
yeah, with a great head coach. Yes, we had a great head coach who put together a great team and got us a Super Bowl win. I'm so happy about that. And then I don't know what happened. I don't know all the details, but it all fell apart.
A lot of them were 1-year deals.
I don't care. Not our head coach.
No,
I like Doug Peterson. I'm a fan of Doug Peterson. I don't care. Wherever he goes to coach next, and he is somewhere, I think, but I can't remember where he is.
I can't remember where.
But Bree, The Breeze, is she still awake?
Yep.
Can you tell us know if Doug Peterson's coaching is the head coach of a team this year? I like Doug Peterson. I think
he's a brilliant coach.
I love that he was going to be the Philadelphia head coach. He was our quarterback when Andy Reid took over for a year or two. Like, I like Doug Peterson. He's a smart guy. He wasn't the best quarterback, but he's a smart guy, and I liked him as head coach.
Football.
And he got us a ring.
He knows football.
Yeah, and then the whole Carson Wentz, and then he left. I don't understand what happened, but whatever. Now we got Nick Sirianni, and he's a tool.
So,
Speaking of Carson Wentz, Washington now has him. The Washington Commandos.
Redskins.
The Washington Cobra Commanders. He's now picked up Carson Wentz because Washington just loves picking up our trash. They just love it.
Speaking of mediocre team, well,
yeah, Bree.
Looks like he may be coaching the Jaguars.
Oh, the Jaguars.
All right.
Jaguars. I feel bad for him because the Jaguars is a team like the Browns, is a team like the Lions. It just sucks in talent and then just, destroys it.
Speaking of mediocre teams, let's talk about the Dolphins for a minute.
Let's just talk about the Dolphins. Now we get to the main story. This is the story. This is not just about the Dolphins. This is about the Dolphins, the Bucks, and Tom Brady. And yes, the Dolphins have made some moves, and we're going to talk about that. But let's talk about the main thing first.
All right.
And that is the plot. And I have sources. Sources are in the description of this episode, so you can look it up yourself and look up the story for yourself. It's all kind of new, so
we're learning some of this as we go.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so Tom Brady retired, right? Apparently, that's what was going to happen.
And the football world sighed relief that Tom Brady was finally gone.
And his final touchdown pass got auctioned off for over $500,000. Okay, and then something happened. Brian Flores sued the Dolphins for racial discrimination. Now, why in the heck does that matter to Tom Brady's retirement? Well, because apparently Tom Brady, this part is going to be is part of the lawsuit that Brian Flores has brought on. So we don't know what is necessarily fact yet. Okay, this like we said, this is just developing. All right. Apparently, Tom Brady was not retiring. Apparently, Tom Brady was retiring, and then he was going to be hired as an executive or part owner in Miami, which Tom Brady has been wanting to do. He's been wanting to become a part owner of a team now that he's reaching the end of his career. Okay, so he goes to Miami as a part owner, right? Also in that plot was Sean Payton. You hire Sean Payton as the new head coach of Miami. Tom Brady's a new executive, new part owner. Tom Brady comes out of retirement. The Dolphins renegotiate for the player rights to Tom Brady. That's how that works.
Okay.
Because he was still under contract with the Dolphins. You can retire, and that's fine. But that doesn't mean you can retire and switch teams and then just come back. Unless it was at the end of your contract, a team owns your rights, your player rights. The rights for you to play on an NFL team. The Bucks own Tom Brady. He cannot play on another NFL team, only for the Bucks, unless they were negotiated or traded to another team. And if Brady's the executive of the Dolphins, why would you want to keep his rights? You'd maybe charge him an arm and a leg, but you're going to give him up, right? Okay, so then the Dolphins get Tom Brady's rights back. Tom Brady comes out of retirement under Sean Payton and becomes the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. Part owner, now the quarterback, Sean Payton as the head coach.
All right.
Now, there's so many problems with everything I just said. There's so many of them.
I was going to say that whole plot has holes all through it.
There's so many problems with that. Number one, as I just said, you can't retire and then just join another team. You're not allowed to do that. Furthermore, and this is where the Brian Flores suing the Dolphins for racial discrimination. It's called the Rooney Rule, okay, where it requires a certain number of minority candidates to be interviewed for head coach, ownership, executive positions, okay?
Okay.
So a plot to hire Tom Brady as your new executive, Sean Payton as your new head coach, and then converting Tom Brady to your starting quarterback
Would
without
obviously break
interviewing any minority candidates is obviously a violation of the Rooney Rule. Okay, that's pretty clear at this point. That's pretty clear. If the plot was real, the Dolphins, Brady, they're all guilty.
Absolutely.
Okay, that part is pretty clear. If the plot was real. So, now, what blew it up was, because Sean Payton's not head coaching with New Orleans, but it was Brian Flores that sued the Dolphins. That's what initially blew it up and got it out there into the world. I'm not sure exactly how he found out about it. Sean Payton was retired. He wasn't, as far as I know, he said he wasn't coming back. So maybe that was part something. I don't know exactly all the details. Like I said, it's new. It's just coming out, but that's how the whole thing got out into the world, was that Brian Flores sued the Dolphins for racial discrimination and seems to have revealed this plot. And Brian Flores filed this lawsuit the day after Tom Brady retired.
Oh.
So that's important.
Well, that's a little coincidental.
That's important to note also. So yeah, that's what's going on with Tom Brady. Now, Tom Brady is still unretiring. He still is claiming he's unretiring, but he's more than happy to be coming back to the Bucs all of a sudden. Well, not all of a sudden. He never really said that he wasn't happy about not coming back to the Bucs, and he never really said in his retirement that he never really said retirement. He never really said that he was officially retiring. Actually, if you go look at the statement, he said he was taking a break from how was it worded? Competitiveness or competitive sports. He never actually said he was actually retiring. The Breeze, are you still awake?
I am.
See, can you see if you can find Tom Brady's retirement statement? If you can't, that's completely okay, because we're going to be wrapping it up here soon anyway. So yeah, that's what's going on with Tom Brady, the Bucs, the Dolphins. Now I'll throw it to Mizpah. The Dolphins have been making some moves other than this. But as you're going to find out from some of these moves, if you put Tom Brady with some of these guys, that could be a huge, huge thing. Now, of course, since all this is blown up, I can't remember the name of the head coach of the Dolphins, and I didn't write it down. That's my bad. But he has said that David Tuol, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, the guy who is currently the number one QB for the Miami, is staying the number one QB for Miami. Of course, he said that now that everything has fallen to bits.
Oh, yeah. And it looks like the Dolphins are getting Cedric Wilson. So they're getting a pretty good running back. Or wide receiver.
Yeah.
Pretty solid there. And they're also picking up Chase Edmonds.
Great running back.
You're a fan of Chase.
I am a fan of Chase Edmonds. He is good. He's not a big guy, but he's
it has nothing to do with
he's
the
good
name
with
or anything.
No, absolutely not. It has nothing to do. Just like the fact that one of my favorite baseball players is Jim Edmonds. Absolutely no coincidence whatsoever. That it's just a coincidence. Yeah.
And then we've got Raheem Mostert.
Yeah, Raheem Mostert, running back. He's young, but he's a good running back too. The Dolphins are certainly making some moves, but if you put Tom Brady on that with those three guys, that puts the Dolphins
into Super Bowl contention.
Yeah, yes, and I'm
sorry, but if Brady would get to the Super Bowl with 3 different teams.
But, well, let's put it in the terms like this. Before Tom Brady announced that he was coming out of retirement, the chances of the Bucs winning the Super Bowl were 28-1. No, 28-1.
Okay.
After Tom Brady came back, they jumped from 28-1 to 7.5-1. So, just saying.
I have found the statement. It is quite lengthy, so I'm just going to try to say the most.
Does he actually ever say the words
retire?
He doesn't say retire. No. He does say that it was time for him to focus his time and energy on other things that require his attention. Yes,
he did. Yes, let me repeat that. He did say that it was time for him to take more time to focus on other things that require his attention.
And he said, "It's best I leave the field of play to the next generation of dedicated and committed athletes."
Yeah, that's a cop-out. And he said that it's best he leaves the field of play to the next generation of competitors. That's a cop-out.
But he never actually
said he's retired.
Yeah. Retirement.
He did not.
No, and there's a couple other things he says in that statement, too, that, like I said, where he takes a break, it's time for him to take a break from competitiveness. But all that's just words.
Words and shenanigans.
Yeah. So he's come back. Now, I do want to mention, too, Peyton Manning wrote him a letter after Tom Brady retired. Peyton Manning does want his letter back.
Well, if I was the guy that bought the last touchdown pass, I'd be pissed.
That's also been settled. It was either the Bucs or Tom Brady himself that had to, there was a settlement made for the person that bought the last touchdown
he'd have been buying that football back from me for double what I paid.
Yeah, so they did have to deal with all that, too. There was all that to deal with, too, yeah.
Double I paid,
and it's just so
tickets.
weird. I mean, he was retired for 40 days. 40 days. Really? 40 days? You decided to retire, and then it only took you 40 days to decide, nope, I'm not ready to be done.
No.
I see, that's the whole story sounds fishy. Brian Flores might have something with this lawsuit here. So we'll just wait and see how it unfolds over the coming weeks and months.
It didn't even appear like there was any attempt of a negotiation between him and the Bucs at all. There was no real talks of them trying to talk him into coming back or...
Who, Tom Brady?
Yeah. There was no real...
No, I mean, he was done. He was, he was done, and they were ready. And the Bucs were like, okay, then we'll play the next season, without you. Which would have been probably a rebuilding year of some kind. I don't know who their backup is, but I can't. You imagine they'd have been looking for somebody.
But I can't believe that they wouldn't have tried to talk him into staying for another year or something, unless they were aware of his plans.
No, I don't know if the Bucs were aware. I don't know if the Bucs were in on it necessarily, because you wouldn't want to be just trading Tom Brady, who just won you a Super Bowl, to... Oh, no, they didn't win this last year, I'm sorry, but he did win him a Super Bowl, right to the Dolphins, you know what I mean? I don't know if you'd want to be doing that. Like I said, that's why I don't know if they were in on it. I don't know if they were in on it,
but for them to not try to entice him to stick around, or maybe they didn't. It just wasn't public.
Yeah, maybe they did, and he just didn't, wasn't having it. Either way, like I said, you can't just retire and then pick up another jersey.
Yeah.
You just can't do that unless it's the end of your if it's the end of your contract and then you retire. Then I think if you unretire, then obviously you're a free agent, and then other teams can pick you up. But when you're under contract and you retire,
how long
you can't
did he have left on his contract?
Who, Brady?
Yeah,
he's got one more year. This one more year.
Okay,
if I'm not mistaken.
So we potentially look to see Brady at the end of this year, then all of a sudden do all that shenanigans.
Maybe, but then it's legal. See, then you don't need to retire.
Yeah.
See, that's where the shenanigans comes in.
So why do it a year early? Why go through all the hassle?
Because he wants to be an owner.
So what's another year? I don't understand the whole why go through all that hassle to potentially get found out, which that's the flip side of this coin. It's a year. In the scheme of things, 1 year.
Or you could just be an owner and not play anymore. Like a person.
Yeah. So it just doesn't really make sense to me.
Tom Brady, your greediness has come to bite you in the ass, my friend. The GOAT is now clouded in some controversy. We'll see what happens. Again,
what better way to ensure, that your team that you're now a part owner of has its best chances of going to the Super Bowl than to be its quarterback?
Yeah, but that's like, it's just like Michael Jordan retiring, becoming the owner of the Wizards, and then after they sucked for 2 years, coming out of retirement and paying yourself $50 million for 2 years to play.
Yeah.
And did they win then? No. It doesn't work like that. You can't just do that. That's the thing.
Michael Jordan's now a
that is hubris. That is hubris of the highest caliber to think that the Dolphins, who could just pick up Tom Brady and then win. Yes, the Bucs kind of did that. Kind of. They also picked up Rob Gronkowski. They also picked up a bunch, like 2 other wide receivers. Yeah. They put together a team around Tom Brady. They gave him an offensive line that could protect him so he wasn't taking hits.
Look at the moves that they make. Cedric Wilson, Chase Edmonds, Raheem Mostert, however you pronounce that last
But that's
name.
what I'm saying, though. Like, to think that if you thought that just, we're going to bring Tom Brady here and we're going to win, that's not how, it wasn't just going to work like that. You can't just bring Tom Brady in, he unretires and now he's going to win another Super Bowl. No. For so many different reasons, not including the reasons I just outlined for you.
So, that has been the off-season in a nutshell.
Yes.
And it's been, as we said, it was quite a off-season and quite a lot of news to cover. And
Tom Brady and Miami are in controversy. The Eagles still suck. The Cowboys don't know what the fuck to do. The Broncos are making some moves. So Matt Ryan is at the end of his career.
Who do you think in all of this?
The Browns are taking a dump potentially with their Deshaun Watson. It's been weird. What's happening?
Who do you think made the best moves?
The Chiefs, because they made as little as possible. The Steelers, because Ben Roethlisberger's retired.
So, well, but now, speaking of the Steelers, did you see about their quarterback?
No, what?
Their starting quarterback got hit by a car walking to the airport. He's dead.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I did see that. Yeah, and that's terrible. Do you remember his name? I can't remember his name.
The Breeze.
What was the team?
Haskins.
Steelers.
Was it Haskins?
Yeah, I think that's his name.
Yeah, because he was just Washington's quarterback.
And now the Steelers are out their starter.
Yeah, and that's weird.
And that whole situation, that could be a whole other podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna once we find out some more information, we're gonna talk about it. But right now, there's just no information,
starting quarterback
and that's weird.
Walking along the highway on his way to the airport, and then gets struck by a car.
Yeah,
or a truck, or something,
and not any more information being
radio silence.
Yeah, and no more information being out about it.
Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah, so it was Dwayne Haskins. Yeah, so it was the he used to play for the Redskins. That's why I thought it was him.
So that may be another topic in our future.
Yeah, once we find out some stuff. Once we actually get some information on
Absolutely.
it. Yeah. Well, for executive producer Mizpah and off-screen The Breeze, our fact checker, I'm your host JD. And before we go, make sure you check out our storefront. The Boiling Point podcast storefront. Mayhem Original doesn't have a storefront at this point. Bonfire.com/store/The Boiling Point podcast. And you can find us on YouTube, Rumble, Parler, Facebook. So find us, like, comment, leave us a comment on this episode, share it out, please. And until next time, that's the end.
See ya.